What would happen if the President of the United States decided to take over an entire region and turn it into a luxury resort? Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what President Trump just proposed for Gaza, and it's got the whole world talking. You know those moments when you hear something that makes you stop and think, wait, did I hear that right? That's what happened when President Trump announced his latest plan. Fresh into his new term in 2025, he's already shaking things up with a proposal that sounds more like a real estate deal than international politics. He wants America to take control of Gaza and transform it into what he calls the Riviera of the Middle East. Here's the deal in simple terms. Gaza's been through a lot lately. Most of its buildings are damaged or destroyed, and the whole place needs massive rebuilding. Trump, drawing on his developer background, sees this as a huge opportunity. But his idea isn't just about fixing up buildings. He wants to completely change what Gaza is and who lives there. And we're not talking about a small renovation project here. This would be one of the biggest transformations of a region we've ever seen. The really wild part? His plan involves moving nearly 2 million Palestinians, who currently call Gaza home to other countries like Egypt and Jordan. It's kind of like saying, hey, we're going to renovate your house, but you need to move to another city, and oh yeah, you can't come back. Pretty intense, right? And get this, the plan isn't just to rebuild Gaza, but to completely reimagine it as a luxury destination with hotels, beaches, and tourist spots where people's homes once stood. Now, you might be wondering why Trump would suggest something like this now. Well, he's just started his new presidential term, and he's looking to make big moves in the Middle East. He's basically saying that decades of trying to solve this conflict haven't worked. So why not try something completely different? His team, including his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, says this could take years to complete. But Trump seems convinced it's the way to go. Think about it this way. Many people living in Gaza are already refugees or children of refugees who had to leave their homes back in 1948. Asking them to move again would be like telling someone who's already lost their home once to pack up and leave again. And those neighboring countries Trump wants to send people to, they're not exactly jumping at the idea of taking in millions of new residents. Egypt and Jordan are dealing with their own challenges. It's like asking your neighbor to host your entire neighborhood indefinitely. Let's talk about what Gaza looks like right now. Imagine a place about twice the size of Washington, D.C., packed with people, where getting in or out requires permission from Israel. Nothing moves without approval: food, medicine, building materials, you name it. There used to be an airport there, opened in 1998 with lots of excitement, but it was destroyed in 2001. It's like being in a really crowded place where someone else controls all the doors. Could this actually happen? Well, there are some pretty big obstacles. For one thing, countries can't just take over other territories because they want to. That's not how international law works. It's like trying to claim your neighbor's backyard just because you think you could build a better garden there. Plus, running Gaza would be incredibly complicated. You'd need to figure out everything from security to water supplies to who's in charge of what. The timing of all this is super interesting. Right now, there's a pause in the fighting between Israel and Hamas, and everyone's trying to figure out what happens next. Trump's throwing this idea out there like a curveball in the middle of already complicated peace talks. While Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says the idea is worth considering, most other world leaders are pretty shocked. The United Nations isn't happy about it, and even some of America's closest allies are raising eyebrows. Here's something to think about. Rebuilding Gaza isn't just about putting up new buildings. The place needs everything. New water pipes, power lines, roads, schools, hospitals, you name it. And before any of that can happen, someone needs to clear out all the rubble and unexploded bombs. It's like trying to rebuild a city while solving a giant puzzle with pieces that keep changing. The whole situation brings up some really important questions about what's right and fair. Moving an entire population isn't just complicated. It could affect generations to come. How would you feel if someone told you your whole community had to relocate so your hometown could become a tourist spot? And what about all the history and culture tied to this place? You can't just pack that up and move it somewhere else. The debate about Gaza's future is heating up because of this proposal. While some might like the idea of a shiny new Riviera, others are pointing out that real solutions need to consider the people who've called this place home for generations. Trump's plan has definitely got people talking about different possibilities, but it's also raised serious concerns about human rights and international law. Whatever happens next, One thing's for sure, this isn't your typical political proposal. It's got elements of real estate development, international diplomacy, and humanitarian concerns all mixed together. And while turning Gaza into a Middle Eastern Riviera might sound appealing to some, the reality is way more complicated than just drawing up building plans and breaking ground on a new resort. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for in-depth looks at the issues that matter to all of us. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.